Hey everyone, this is Kevin from Kevin's Microfleet. Today I'm coming to you with a Micro Galaxy Squadron review. We're going to be taking a look today at the Series 5 Starfighter class Rare, the Shadow VWing. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the vehicle, at the figures, at the packaging. We'll do some measurements and we'll do a comparison. Let's go ahead and dive into the review. All right, so let's go ahead and start here with the packaging. So here is the front of the package. So you get a chance to see here on the bottom, you've got Shadow VWing, number 109. You get your rare sticker, you get the vehicle inside. There's the pilot going into the cockpit. Then you get your little figure pack here that's got the Imperial pilot and then just a generic astromech on there. As you turn this around to the back, you can see here's the rest of the features of the VWing. You've got the little fins here that open, the astromech that gets pushed up, the little ejector, the wings fold, then you got a landing gear, then you have your cutout and your other vehicles in the line. On the bottom here is the UPC if you want that. All of the Starfighter class vehicles have the same UPC, so you have one, you have them all. Now, once you open this thing up, if you look at the card backing, here is what the card backing looks like, which is really cool to see. Here is the light armor class rare. This is going to be the Vader Jedi Interceptor, which is really cool. And then you also have your two Shadow V-Wings that ultimately flank that that Interceptor. So that'll be cool to get when that thing hits stores. Then underneath this on the bottom, this is the under part here of this front. And so you get a chance to see it's got some, red planet there and some asteroids in the background, and that is that. Now, if we go ahead and start here with the figures, before I get too deep into this, the stand here that you're seeing is actually a stand from another friend that I've got in the Micro Galaxy Squadron group that I manage, that he's got a bunch of these stands that he has available on Etsy, you can find. And this is just one of his files. I printed it in resin. So let's go ahead and start here by looking at the figures. So we'll start with the astromech. So this is your generic astromech that we get with the Obi-Wan Jedi Interceptor. The great thing about all of these is now they have this detail on the top of the dome where it's got all the panels on there, which looks really nice. It's got just a little bit of paint there on the side, but not really a whole lot to this. Now this is the same type of astromech that you should get in this vehicle, so I know there's been some people that have not liked that it's just the generic one, but it is what it is. So this guy from a size perspective is a little over 1.5 inches, same height as all of the other astromechs. And then here is our pilot. So this pilot looks really cool. I love the black flight suit. They've got some face paint on there, the red for the goggles. I mean, that is very difficult to do. And then my favorite part is right there. I mean, they've been doing such a great job with this tampo printing and getting the Imperial insignia on the side of the helmet. I mean, that thing just looks really cool. You even have some paint there on the back of his flight suit, which is really nice. And then you got that little line up the top as well. So, I mean, I think for the size of this figure, the detail on it is pretty incredible. He is 1 inch tall. And then I want to compare him really quick to just the standard V-Wing clone pilot to look at the difference here in these two molds. And you can see here, these are the same exact mold. Again, just a difference in the color there between the two. But very cool. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the actual V-Wing itself. So here it is from the top. And so if we go, let's go features first. If you're going front to back, on the underside here, you have your landing gear, which is pretty easy to just go ahead and pop that guy out. Then underneath here, you have, this is the little push button there to be able to eject the astromech. And then you got your wings. So this vehicle, as you can see here, it has a little wash on it. So the wash seems to have gotten down into the mechanism on this one. So for me, the mechanism doesn't really function as smooth as what it does on the other version. So like as I'm trying to move that around, it's really sticky and I have to put a lot of force into it to get that to move. But that's what the wings look like. So as you rotate it, the key is that you're always rotating it in this direction clockwise. So you pull this guy around, then pull that down, it kind of pops down into place. So same thing here, we'll rotate this thing towards the front of the vehicle and then pop that one down and boom, there you go. Now it's in its flight position. So then the cockpit on this looks really cool. It's got this really dark tinted, and then you got these little flaps that fold back. You got this really dark tinted canopy, which looks really nice. And again, you got a great, Imperial insignia on there, which looks very nice. And you can see there the interior of the cockpit. So the figure goes in there pretty nicely without any real issues. And now, the one thing I will say about the cockpit or the canopy tint, it looks really nice that it's that dark, but once you close it on there, it's very difficult to see the pilot in there. So I don't know if that could just be some of the excess wash that's on there that makes that just really difficult to see. But that would be, I would say, my only minor complaint if I had one, but this does look really nice. I do like that we get a secondary version of the VWing versus having just the standard version, which we'll take a look at here in a second. So then there's the droid that goes in, close the thing down. As we turn this around to the back, not a whole lot to write home about on the back, just a little bit of engine glow on there, and that's about it. But there it is. I think, personally, I like the VWing a lot. I think this is one of my favorites that they have in the line just because of all of the different features that it has to it, and it just looks really cool. So definitely it looks even better when it's up on this little stand, which is very clever design to be able to hold it up like that. Now, if we do a couple measurements for this, so let's take a look at this thing here. With the wings out like this, if you look at the height, it is 3.5, maybe 3 3/4 inches. From front to back, it is 5.5 inches. And then from side to side, it is about just over 2 inches, maybe 2 1/4 inches. Now, if you look at this one compared first to the other VWing, so our standard Series 3 VWing, go ahead and pop up pilot in here. One of the major differences, obviously beyond the paint detailing, is the difference in the droid. So there is where you get a chance to see this used to be just this little blob versus it having the actual panels on the top of the droid. And then you do get a little more detail in terms of the paint on the actual Series 3 VWing. So instead of it just being this black on there, there's a lot more detailing in terms of the red that's on it. You get the insignias, you get some differences in the contrast of the paint with it being gray and red. All of the features are still the exact same. The wings flip around. As you can see as I'm doing this, this is much easier to do than it was on this one that has a little bit of wash on it. The Series 3 one has a tiny bit of a wash on it as well, but it's not as much obviously as we're getting on the Shadow VWing. And then here's what it looks like from the back. So basically the same. So I think this is a very cool one to add to the collection. This is a lot of fun that we get this specific version as a rare because it is a repaint instead of it being a totally different tool to make this one. And it's a very unique one where not every collector is going to need or want to get this, although it does look pretty cool. So I want to compare this to a couple other vehicles in the line just to show what it looks like compared to it. So here is the VWing relative to your Jedi Interceptor. So you can see the size of that, from side to side. And from a scale perspective, I don't think that they're scaled exactly right, but I'm not 100% sure. You can always check out Rebel Scale, and they've got all of the correct scaling. And then here it is relative to the Series 1 X-Wing. And so you can see again, it looks like it's just a little bit smaller. But I really, again, I just love the design of this, how the wings sit out like that. Reminds me of like a Star Fox game from, you know, whatever that system was when we were kids. So that is your VWing. So thanks for tuning in. If you like the review, go ahead and like and subscribe, and feel free to leave any comments below. I look forward to catching everybody on the next review.